Yeah, you hear that? That ain't thunder. That's logisticize rolling in. Headlights cut, small town night, dust flies up in the neon light. Hauling miles with a heavy load, pulling up on the gravel road. Steel toe boots on a wooden stage, a little rust and a rebel rage. From the back roads to the show, when the engine starts, you know. Feel that rumble in your chest, like a diesel hard out west. We're low, just the size, going loud and mean. Red dirt rebels on the gasoline dream. Turn it up, let the tailgate drive. We don't slow down, we don't ever stop. From the back road straight to your soul. We came here just to lose control. If you're ready, let me hear you shout. Low, just the size is rolling out. Six-string crime, a kick jump pound, booty heel stomping on southern ground. Cold drinks raised that the night's on fire, bringing heat like a flat-out tire. No GPS on a rebel route. We don't ask where we don't have doubt. If there's a stage in a wild crowd, crank it up and we play it loud. Feel that shaking the floor. That's the sound you waited for. When the distance eyes roll loud and mean. Red dirt rebels on the gasoline train. Turn it up, let the tailgate drop. We don't slow down, we don't ever stop. From the back road straight to your soul. We came here just to lose control. If you're ready, let me hear you shout. Low, just the size is rolling out.
I don't
All right, we're done sharing that. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us here again on the Logisticize 104. We're going to pick up with part 2 of our interview with Rick here. We've discussed last week how everything got started for him right out of the garage there at his dad's house, putting together some Polaris units, as well as all kinds of freight that they hauled, and how he got started just driving and what it was like back in the 80s. So, Rick, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time again.
No problem. No problem. So, okay, let's talk about this intro that we just had here, okay? You know, I'm thinking that we should get a show of hands from everybody out there. We probably would like Adele or some other singer do that for us. But I think we need a show of hands and say, okay, guys, who should we get to sing this?
Well, I don't leave it up to Josh Shoup, because Josh Shoup requested. We did a pre-taped interview last week, and he thinks that the AI in the truck should be Scarlett Johansson, but I don't think I can pull that off for him.
Oh,
It might be some copyright infringement there. We get in too much trouble. So, all right, guys, hope you guys are having a good week out there. Rick, let's kind of pick it up where we left off last week. We were talking about you had sold custom assembly, you got out of that portion of it, and you and your brother were trucking, and you were getting ready to start looking into what I believe is Plummer Trucking.
Well, yeah, actually, Plummer Trucking was going on the whole time. Where we had left off the last time was, okay, I was trucking, was hauling freight myself, and I ended up getting injured. And I believe I told you I got bit by a scorpion.
Yep.
And I had to keep my leg up for, I think it was like 2 months or something like that.
Oh, poor Denise.
So, yeah, exactly. So we put somebody else in my truck, and I started dispatching. And, so in that transition from a driver to a dispatcher, first when I started being a dispatcher, I thought, man, this is an easy job. Loads just come in, you deal them out. It wasn't quite like that. But I got into it, and I really liked the challenge of putting the plan together.
Okay.
The plan would constantly change. You would get opportunities to take loads actually all over the country back then, and you had to figure out what market was a good place to send that truck to. Now, it might sound great. Everybody wanted to go someplace warm in the wintertime, but there was no reloads coming out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was the same thing on, the brokers that we would deal with and such like that. I just really enjoyed putting that all together. And then when there was a problem and a guy had an issue, I could usually walk him through. Hey, try this. Let's do this. Or, hey, where you at? Of course, we didn't have GPS back then.
Sure, yeah. So
it was like, oh, I'm here at the 160 on I-75 in Kentucky. Well, make it up to the 144 up there. You got the Corinth truck stop and talk to John out there in the bay, and he'll maybe take care.
You knew everybody back then.
I knew the people and such. So it helped me build a rapport with the guys. And then, as we just went through that and I got to where I was, where I didn't have to dispatch full time. I still went out and drove, but then I was dispatching and driving some. Eventually, about that time, we were still growing as a company, me and my brother. And I actually came off the road and went into the shop full time first.
Okay.
And started turning wrenches out there. And back then, we were doing oil changes every 10,000 miles and greases every 5,000. So,
boy, how that's changed. What, we up to 50,000 miles now?
60,000 right now on our van drivers. And
is that more of the technology of the oil itself, or is that just the motors have developed that much?
Everyone gets mad about the whole thing with the DEF systems and all of this. The motors are so much cleaner, just so much cleaner. Tolerances are so much tighter. You take like even in the drivetrain of the truck now, the U-joints and such, we used to have to grease them all the time. Now they're greaseless and such. So just the technology has made it a lot better over time and such like that.
Well, everything's digital now. I mean, you used to be a speedo ran on a cable and everything was mechanical, but pretty much everything has to be diagnosed with a laptop or done through a satellite anymore.
Yeah. So I got into the shop doing that stuff. We already had a couple mechanics out there working. So I got into that and got into the scheduling of their trucks coming in and out of that. And we continue to add trucks and such like that. So eventually coming out of the shop, I went into dispatch full time. But just because you were in dispatch full time, or if you were in the shop full time, a lot of times at about 6 o'clock at night, you jump in a truck, run to Hammond, Indiana, grab a load of coils, come back to Hicksville, get back to the yard at 4 a.m, sleep a couple hours, go back in the next day and do stuff. It's just what you did back then as the company was growing and such. So
now real quick, when you came off the road, did you gain a whole new appreciation for what a dispatcher has to deal with, or did it change your mind in any way? Did you cut them any slack when you went back in a truck?
No.
Okay. All right. So it's not changed much to this day, just for the record.
Well, the problem is there's several types of dispatchers. Okay. There's dispatchers that want to just, get the truck loaded. Any load, doesn't matter. Shove it down the guy's throat. This is what you're going to do. Okay. Then there's what I call fun freight. Okay. That you can enjoy hauling, going to places you enjoy a little bit and such. And so that was kind of the difference between it. And it's like after being on the road, then going into dispatch and back out on the road again. And it's like, you'd get up to Cleveland, they send you the Majestic Steel. I'm like, her name was Diane. I said, Diane, I ain't going to Majestic Steel. You'll sit there for 10 hours. The load's terrible.
Yeah.
I know. Why don't you call over, and get something out of Slater or somebody like that? And, well, I guess I can. Well, in her world, it's a load.
Yep.
Take the load, be happy with the load. For mine, it was like, what's the ease in this? What would work and such? And the neat thing about dispatching has always been is every day is a new day. You start out with a clean piece of paper. So it's like, okay, you have these loads and they got to be delivered, but you get to create it. You get to put it together.
Yep.
Okay. You get drivers that like to do something and drivers that don't like it. And yes, it's one of the things I remember guys saying, oh, I'm so tired of going to Chicago. I hate Chicago. Well, you probably shouldn't live within 200 miles of Chicago. Then, okay. You know what I mean? You're going to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like that any metropolitan city. If you're in Georgia, good chance you're going through Atlanta.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And whatnot. So
we have to send them. You have to send them where the freight's at, and typically your major metropolitan areas are going to have a better selection of freight. I guess
Correct.
I should say.
Correct. Yeah. So the appreciation was still there. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of work to put it together. Now it's like you said, technology makes it a lot easier. Then we would get a fax sheet several times a day of available loads in different areas. And you would want to be there to get that fax sheet so you could see who had loads and you could call.
Make the phone call.
But a lot of it still back then was the drivers were making a lot of the calls. So the driver would get empty. He'd say, hey, head to the truck stop, see what you see on the load board over there.
But this is before email or any of those conveniences where you had to really work for the freight.
Faxing was really new back then, really. So we would, sometimes the driver would call up and say, hey, I see this load on the board. They give us the number, we call, work out the deal or whatnot and such like that. So then as that transpired into doing faxes, and then eventually you had this big computer box in the corner from that would go out and look for loads. People would post loads. It was the DAT system back then is very DOS metric.
DOS based, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yep.
And very antiquated and such, but it worked.
Well, it's probably revolutionary back then and started to change the industry into what it's evolved into today.
It did.
Yeah.
But prior to that, you had relationships that you knew. If I was in Southern Georgia, I called Oscar. If I'm in Atlanta, I called Margie. If I was in Youngstown, I called Lorraine. If I was in Chicago, I called Tom. If I was in St. Louis, it was Phil. I mean, you knew people in those areas. So, you'd have a truck that take it off going to Chicago or something. You'd call the day before, hey, we'll have a truck up there, whatnot. And it's just a lot different to where now the girls in there, we get our load list and, they're sending emails out to people saying, hey, I'm gonna have a truck there tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm gonna have, or 2 days from now or something like that. And it just allows those people to be more efficient. That they might at 10 o'clock at night send her, hey, I got these 3 loads. Let me know in the morning which one you want.
Well, now it's just information overload. Even though I've moved over completely to safety, I have an inbox of loads that just fill up, and it's probably close to 75 emails a day of load offers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, back then you just had to call. You had to have that rapport with the people. When they talk about your little black book,
yep,
everybody had a little black book, and it was
just meant different things to different people.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, we weren't like like Jeff Einstein or whatever.
No. We don't want to get wrapped up in that.
The Rick files now.
Yeah,
the Rick files.
So everyone had their book, but as you were working together, and it's like Jolene when me and her were working together. Okay, you would know. And you, hey, call this guy. You got a truck going that way, or this guy. And you had a real rapport with the shippers and the receivers back then and such. So it was just a different way of tracking the loads down. As we grew, we started to run in reefer trailers and such like that. That was a whole different thing. I actually drove for a while in between all that, just to kind of get used to it. To the reefer freight, to know that side of it.
And for those of you that don't know, he hates reefer freight.
Oh,
The word food, even, I think, is unless he's eating it, it doesn't need to be mentioned around here.
I'm glad somebody delivers it, and that's all I can say.
Yes, just not us.
It's not something we want to do. You know, the on that, Doug, it's part of being driver friendly freight.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'll get into that more later and such. But anyhow, we ended up then putting a office down in Georgia or in Florida, Wildwood, Florida. Had an office down there, and so there was just a couple of us dispatchers, whoever. So what I would do is I'd take off on a Saturday night. I'd drive down to Florida, get down there. We had trucks that were running down there out of the Dietrich's plant down there in Florida, and if a driver didn't show up or something, I'd have to make his run.
Okay.
But I would also be dispatching and working on trucks down there and such. And then on Thursday night, after everything was done, I would take off, run up into Georgia, load Friday morning, come home, turn right back around Saturday, and take off again.
And how on earth would you be able to dispatch from the truck? No cell phone, no computers, no nothing. I mean, would you have to stop frequently to try to put all that together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And really, in my transition days there, I really didn't have to do a whole lot,
Okay.
you know, and such. But when I was in, you know, before you went down to Florida, you had to kind of know what the guys were supposed to be doing and such like that. So it was really neat. I got to do, you know, trucking is such a wonderful thing. Sometimes you can do a lot of cool things.
Oh yeah.
On what is that? Disney down there on what they call it, Main Street, USA, right down the middle of that.
Yep.
I drove a truck down the middle of that in the middle of the night, hauling stuff into there. And I mean, that place is packed in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
With people working and cleaning and restocking stuff. And you don't even think about that, you know. Or I've been down in places in Alligator Alley, clear down in there, different places, pretty sketchy and pretty scary and such. But no, so we did that down there for a couple years until you could really do better remotely with that. We ended up letting that office kind of phase out. There was another trucking company that we had partnered with called Terry Dick's Trucking down there, and he was just doing a better job. And we're like, you know, Terry, you want to just do these? It was easier.
So you had people that were hired by Plummer Trucking actually stationed in or living in Wildwood, Florida.
Yes,
okay. So
exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Yeah. I take paychecks down with me.
When you would drive down?
Yeah.
So they look
you know,
forward to your arrival down there.
Most people still do.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so we did that type of dispatch and stuff, and then somewhere in about the I'm going to say the early 90s, 95 maybe, no, earlier than that. We got in with Worthington Steel, and Worthington Steel it just built the first place up there at Delta beside North Star Steel, and we got 4-axle trailers, and we got B trains that haul coils and such. And we really got into the growth mode at that point.
Okay.
And we really stepped it up because of the freight that they had
Now,
out of Delta and Columbus and such like that. So
for those out there, I mean, Rick and I have talked about starting a business and kind of you just got to jump off a cliff and do it. What was it just a chance you guys are willing to take, or did you guys see growth that was out there within your reach and I got to get the trucks, we can put this together, and you decided, hey, we're just going to expand?
Blind ambition.
Is
what you would call it. You know, you knew that there was a need. Okay. And you knew that somebody was going to fill that need. So, yeah, you wrote some checks that you didn't know how you were going to cash and stuff like that to make it work. And then you worked like crazy ourselves and such. And so I mean, it was a very interesting time through all that. You know, we were probably into it for about 5 years. We were up over 100 trucks at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I had 16 dispatchers on 2 shifts. And got a call one morning that Worthington was turning all of their dispatch stuff over to Ruan
Okay.
Transportation.
Welcome 3PLs.
So, okay, but don't worry, Rick, nothing will change. Well, it took us about 1 million pounds a day of steel just to keep everybody running the way it was with Worthington Steel, AK Steel, some of the other places we were doing stuff for. Anyhow, Ruan came in. They did not understand the steel market with the multi-axles and such. So I actually went down for several weeks down to Columbus to Worthington's main terminal and worked alongside Ruan, training them.
Huh.
And actually I had to go to Des Moines, Iowa a couple times and out there with them and such.
Okay.
And it was interesting to see how these big corporations work. We just, last night we just, I got a text that a company, not too far from here, bought out another company out of Indiana and such. And, you hear these consolidations, and some of them are good and some are bad. You have to just weigh them out and such like that. It's scary when you go through those and such. We were actually getting courted by TMC Transportation to buy us out.
Oh, okay.
Out of Des Moines. And they were wanting to break into this market more out here. And they're just like, wow, these guys are running good equipment. They've got their act together and such like that. It did not transpose from there, and nothing happened and such from there. But they're a big dog on the block, and you start watching some of these companies continue to grow. Companies can grow one of two ways: either organically, that means you add a truck or two here or there, or you acquire somebody who has a bunch of trucks and such like that. And we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years here this when you acquire, it seems like these hedge funds are getting involved with that because of the money, and then they'll just run that company into bankruptcy, take their money, and then there's the company sitting there. Drivers are stranded and such like that.
Which we've seen out of, even over the last 15 years, it's happened several times where you guys are just left on the side of the road, no fuel card, no anything to get home.
Right.
Or anyway.
Right.
I guess I never realized that you guys were that big, 100 trucks. Which is bigger than what Logisticise is currently.
Right.
How long did it take to get up to that 100? Was that a quick growth for you guys?
It was way too fast.
Okay.
And that was probably the problem with me and my brother, is he wanted rapid growth, and I'm like, whoa, chill out. I got a wife and kids, and I want to, and let's just take our time. And he wanted to go very, very fast.
Okay.
And so it went very, very fast, and it went too fast.
Okay.
And that's why it's not going now and such like that. But you got to watch that, I believe, as you start with a company and such. But back to dispatch.
Yes.
The neat thing about dispatch, though, and I don't know what year it was in there, but we were running guys to California and such, and everybody is saying, man, don't run California. There's no freight out there, blah, blah, blah. It's one of those things that I learned, kind of my mistake, but it was I was having no trouble loading loads out of California. Because one time I had to be gone, and I came back into the office probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I thought, I'm just going to turn on and see what freight's out there. Well, there was all kinds of freight. So I would stay later and book freight, because people on the East Coast here, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going home. It's only 3 o'clock out there. They're still working
2-3 more hours at least.
Exactly. So I was able to secure freight and get guys back in here with good pay and freight. And everyone's like, how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, early bird or late worm.
I was going to say,
bird, one of the two is getting the worm. And that's what we ended up doing. And then the other thing, you talk to some of the guys that drove for me years ago, it was full loads and partials. We put together, 4 or 5 stops of loading stuff and delivering such. And boy, when we broke that $1 a mile range, it was like historic. It's like, wow, $1 a mile. Can you imagine somebody paying you $1 a mile to haul freight?
And what year was that? Can you? I mean, or roughly?
I'm going to say it was probably in the early 90s.
Early 90s,
such like that. Yeah, okay. And that was just monumental and such like that. Now you fast forward. Actually, I go into dispatch now. And there are, some of them about, I pick up the phone because it's ringing and this guy offers us a load and it's like he's paying $2,000 coming out of Atlanta coming back up here. Well, my math runs pretty quick. That's $3.87 a mile. I'm thinking, yeah, that's a good load. And Jolene's like, don't take it. I got something better. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And she does. It's just how it's changed and such like that. So,
and for those that don't know, it's the second time Jolene's been brought up. When did she join you? Because I know that you guys have been working together for close to 3 decades, right? Not that I want to date you. She's going to kill me. Not that I want to date her, but I know she's been a pretty integral part of this process along the way as well.
So, yeah, me and Jolene met when I went up to work at Bourne Logistics and such. But and it's probably been 26 years ago or something like that. It's been quite a while. But anyhow, it was, just one of those odd things about how you put things together, where you go about to find freight. And I always wanted to go get freight out of the small companies and not the big companies. Okay. And I'm talking the Kellogg's of the world or all those big ones. I'd rather go to the small shippers and work with them because it's more one-on-one and you could call them up and say, hey, my driver, John, he's done this before. Oh yeah, I know John. Okay. Anyway, you can move that load because he's got a graduation the next week or something like it. Can we change that and such?
And even at the size we are today, I still feel like that's kind of
that's what we're after.
Yeah, that's how it works essentially with our closest customers. I mean, brokerage is a little different, but it does work that way, and they do know our drivers by names. I mean, I've had SDI back when I was dispatching call over and say, "Hey, we know this guy's coming for this load. We know who's loading it. Just tell him to back off for 10 minutes. We got to clear this out." And it works both ways.
It does absolutely. So. With dispatch there, it is, I could go on and on about dispatch, about what you just really like about it. You are trying to keep a customer happy and a driver happy, and you're in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. And so if you call up the customer and say that the truck blew a tire, right away, you're lying to me.
Yep.
Okay. Or you call up the driver and say, hey, that load just canceled. They didn't get the product. Oh, you're lying to me. You gave it to another driver or something like that. I had a guy one time, we were running these Floridas a lot, and he was like, boy, Rick, I just want to do these Floridas. I just, let me do these Floridas. I said, you can't do all these Floridas. Yeah, I can do them all. All right. He took off. Got down into about Georgia. I called him, or about Kentucky, called up. I said, hey, you loaded in the morning back here for Florida. Well, I'm going to be back. I said, wait,
you said you could do them all.
You would take them all.
Yes.
And he says, well, I can't take them all. I said, well, then I have to give loads to other people too.
Yes.
And so, yes, sometimes you're not going to get a Florida when you wanted one. It's just the way it works.
The way the timing is.
The way the timing is. And, what we really try to do yet to this day with dispatch, and I'm not as involved as I was, but I still sit here and kind of cherry pick the customers that we want to work with. And really, we do cherry pick the customers.
Yes.
If it's not a customer that treats our drivers good or that has got consistent freight, or ones that are just looking for the cheapest carrier, we're going to stay away from them. It's just not, that's not what I call fun freight.
No.
Okay?
And that's our direct customer freight, not the broker freight to get everybody back to where our customers are located.
Yeah. Yeah. The real goal with brokers is to actually go in, they give you the availability to go into an area that you typically wouldn't go into, so you have no customers.
Yes.
Okay. Now you go to Georgia now, we got customers down there. Okay. With our flatbed freight with New Millennium, these guys know how it is. One day you're in Columbus, next day you're in St. Louis, and 3 days later you're in Minneapolis. It's kind of hard to do, but even with that, I see somebody like Sherry here. She acquired the people that do those forklifts, asset
Equipment
something.
assets.
Equipment assets. Yep.
Yeah,
Assets.
great people to work. And they got, Sherry will call them up and say, hey, I got a truck this way. And they go, hey, let me see if I can get you a load of forklifts. I think the guy buys them for her. Okay,
Well,
I really do.
Out of Georgia, we were even pulling van trailers up here full of that stuff out of Calhoun, Georgia, or somewhere around there.
Really?
They were supplying van loads there for a time.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing of dispatch, is really trying to put it together, working through the holidays like we have now coming up upon us, trying to keep people home, but people getting the mileage and such that they need. It's a challenge. So I don't know, Doug, if you go back, you asked me about Jolene there.
Yeah.
In about 2001, 2, maybe it was, my brother was wanting to grow real fast.
Okay.
And I was wanting to we were doing fine. I owned some of the trailers, he owned the trucks, and that's just kind of how we did it. We just got to a point, I'm like, you know what? This is not going to be my life. Trucking is not going to consume me. Okay. My life.
Yeah.
And that's really some of the guys that sit here and I try to tell them, man, just, don't let something consume you. You see somebody that, it would just consume them. And I was always into the trucking. I was always, and the fun was gone.
Yes.
And I said, I went out. So I left him down there and, ended up wanting to get out of trucking altogether and interviewed at a couple car dealerships. Used car sales.
Oh, yeah. That's perfect.
A dispatcher in the used car sales, but
about the same thing, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
So anyhow, and then it was a thing. TMC heard that we had split up. Like 3 days after it. Okay.
News travels fast.
So boom, TMC's sent an airplane ticket and stuff. All right, come out and see us. And I went down, looked at their operations and such, and it's like, it was just too corporate. It was just,
How big were they? How big were they at the time?
I'd be remiss to say.
Okay.
1,000.
But they were pretty big,
1,000
big
probably.
company for,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, maybe not quite 1,000, but yeah. On the way back from my drive from the airport, I get a phone call from somebody that I never knew, but he knew my grandpa. It was Dave Boren, owned Boren Logistics up in Garrett, Indiana. He calls me up and he says, hey, I want to sit and talk to you. I'm like, hey, I'm getting out of trucking. You know what I mean? He's like, no, I want to meet you tonight. So I met him in Fort Wayne on the way back and such like that. And I said, I'll come up and see your place. It's an hour away from here and such. Well, I went up there and worked for 5 years. Okay. Jolene had been working up there, and they were at about 30 trucks.
Okay.
Okay. Within 5 years, we'd take them to about 85 trucks.
I was going to say it was much bigger. For those that don't know, that's my hometown. And even right across from the lot where you pull into Bowen was a water tower that used to be some trucks that would park out there. And I was one of those trucks. Okay. So yeah, I am actually very familiar with that place, and actually have done some work for Mr. Dave Bowen on the side. So
they were mostly flatbed, a carrier up there then. And so me and Jolene were working together, and there was another dispatcher, but he just couldn't keep pace with me and Jolene. We were both young, and we were both like, we just
hungry.
Go. And you didn't have computers then. You had these old cards that you'd fill out with the load information and put them on a slot with a trailer and a truck, and that's how you moved. It was a board. It just moved like that and such like that. And you'd write your notes on the card, and the card would turn into an invoice. You'd match it with your, it just how it was back then.
There's a lot of manual labor involved in that.
There's a lot of work on that and such. And so we were doing that. It was a drive for me, but I really enjoyed it. It's one of the things I missed about getting out of the truck was sometimes the quietness yourself, or crank up the music. One of the two. You do either one.
Now we do podcasts.
Yeah, that's right here. But anyhow, we were getting along fine with it all up there. And here at Walmart, put in a distribution center a quarter mile down the road. And Snyder took it over, and Snyder was running it, but Snyder was falling behind. So they stopped and said, hey, can you guys give some trucks? Well, within a year and a half, we had over 50 trucks running out of there.
Oh, out of that Walmart DC?
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
I don't even
exactly.
remember that. I thought it went Schneider straight to Werner.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Snyder was still in charge, but we were working under them and such.
Okay.
And if you ever want to experience corporate, go to Walmart and stuff. Wow, they drink the Kool-Aid there.
Yes, they
I'm
do.
telling you what. I mean, it was freight. It ran at night, going to different DCs or whatnot. They had a lot of freight that they would move.
Now, did you get the pick of the freight, or would you get what's kind of left over?
You were about in the middle of it and such like that. All these big companies, they only tell you so much.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we're in there, we're trucking along. And as a matter of fact, it was a Memorial Day weekend. I was at my nephew's graduation party. I get a call on my cell phone from the main guy at Snyder. Like, hey, Tom, what's going on? He's like, hey, we didn't get your truck list for tonight. I'm like, it's Memorial Day tomorrow. What do you mean? He's like, oh, we deliver every day. I'm like, well, no one told me this. So all of a sudden I'm calling up other dispatches, and I don't remember the graduation party because I was in the car doing dispatch. Okay. And you know what? We got the loads covered and everything like that, but they only tell you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on down the line, they definitely treat you poorly. Okay. And the one time I walked in that ended up leaving that dispatch area was, I walked in, and I'd been in some of their corporate meetings before, and they do sit there and say, give me a W, give me a
Walmart definitely does that.
really?
They do that. Oh yeah.
They do
It
it in
was,
Oh,
stores,
wow.
too.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. I was like, I am not doing
So you
this.
get indoctrinated from the time you step through the door.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I go into this meeting thinking that, it's a review and such, and I'm asking for a 3 cent increase. And we go through the meeting, and they asked for a 11-cent reduction.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, well, no, costs are going up and such, 3 cents here. And they said, well, you got so many trucks wrapped up in it, so there's really nothing else you can do. And I said, I hadn't talked to Dave
Hide
Bourne
and
about
watch.
this. I hadn't talked to Dave Bourne about this at all, but I said, yeah, there is something I can do. I'm done hauling today. And walked out. So I had to go talk to Dave Bourne and say, hey, guess what? We got 50 trucks we got the loads for, and you know what? We
Found the freight.
We found the freight, kept the guys moving. But, it's one of those things. And that's what I don't like about the big guys sometimes in transportation, the big shippers. They get you to grow to where you need them. And then they start taking it the other way to where you're making less and less money and such like that.
Which is a very calculated move on their behalf.
Yes,
Very calculated.
Yes, yeah, that's in their playbook.
Yep.
That's what their playbook is. So me and Jolene were together there for many years. I started buying some trucks in and leasing them on there with drivers and such. But back here, my brother, in the meantime, had sold the Plummer Trucking out to Great American,
Okay.
hauling steel and such, and they got completely out of the flatbed. They still are hauling steel on side kits and stuff like that, but so I had a lot of customers reaching out to me saying, "Hey, would you come back? Would you come? Would you haul?" So I was hauling freight out of here, being dispatched over there, but living here. That makes sense, whatnot.
I think we spun that circle.
Yeah. So it was like, man, I don't know what to do. About that time, the people at Custom Assembly, where my wife was the bookkeeper, they called up and said, hey, we need some help with freight. Can you come help us with freight? And they were only running about maybe 10 trucks at the time then. So I'm like, well, hey, I'm having some trouble here. So we kind of came together and started a company called Custom Contacts. They owned it, and I owned it, and we started doing flatbed work. And you talk to like Todd Fall or Steve Gordon was one of the guys, and other ones like that have been with me.
Yep.
Came over here. You get Larry and Mike Hauser. And,
so you had quite a bit
whatnot.
of them.
Yeah, exactly. So we started Custom Contacts, and we were running the flatbed freight, and then what we were doing there was we got in with National Power Sports Auction, which was like the remarketer of motorcycles. So we would pick up repossessed motorcycles across the country.
And here the stories start, because I tell you, since I've started here, all those guys that you mentioned before that were, back with you then, they have story upon story of just unique and I want to say fun, and sometimes what sounded like not so fun stories about getting those things and just having to get them out of where they were at.
Right, exactly. So we were hauling flatbed freight, working for SoCar Industries over there in Continental. It got bought out by New Millennium. That's how we got into New Millennium. But Underfirth and some of those other ones have been around for a long time. We started hauling these repossessed motorcycles, and we had to buy specialized trailers and such to do these because no one did it in the capacity that we did. Everybody was using pickup trucks with little trailers. And we're like, okay, we can put together a system here. So we would hire guys with little pickup trucks to bring them to a central location, let's say like Pennsylvania, and then we'd run out there with a semi truck and load them. So our drivers had to hand load, hand secure down maybe 60 or 70 motorcycles in a truck.
And what kind of trailer? You said specialized trailer. Tell us about these trailers you had.
Well, we had regular van trailers that we just put second floors in them. And sometimes the guys would ride them all the way to the top to put them in there. Okay.
So you made these trailers?
Well, we made the second floors and designed them and such. So a lot of times we would haul regular freight out and then flip these boards down and then double
create
stack
that second layer. So you had a dual purpose trailer. That's great. Yeah.
And such like it. It was a lot of work, but we had drivers doing great money, but it was a lot of work and such. And then we got into, man, there's got to be a better way. So we ended up doing some step deck vans, and everyone's seen these things. They're in people's garages that have money. They have a lift system.
Yep.
Okay. We would take a lift system, cut it down to size, put it inside there, bolt it down, and the drivers would go up in the trailer, and then it was like an elevator. It would lift them to the second floor.
Just like one of these new car haulers where they race car haulers where they lift. Yep.
But cheaper. But
I sure hope so.
But cheaper. So we got into doing that. Like I said, everybody that's worked for me has hauled brand new Harley Davidsons or brand new jet ski boats and stuff like that. Not only repo but brand new. And there's a story. There's a story on a repo. Okay, you would go and pick up a bike for Harley Davidson's. We were Harley Davidson's largest carrier for repossessed.
Really? Nationwide. Okay.
Nationwide, yeah.
Wow. So that's a pretty big contract to have.
It was too big. Anyhow, if you went there sometimes in the truck, maybe the bike was tore completely apart. All you had to bring back was the frame.
Really?
Because the frame has the serial number.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. But we had one time that we went to pick it up and it had 0.1 mile on it. It's like, what the heck?
Why buy it?
How do you get it repossessed? Well, here's the story. The guy bought it, okay, on a Saturday, went to the license bureau or the title office to get his license, whatever. His ex-girlfriend and her boyfriend was there. He about beat the boyfriend to death, got put in jail. Well, the paperwork was already done for buying this motorcycle. So he got it repossessed with no miles on it.
He couldn't even ride it.
So we thought that was a good one.
Yes.
But it was just, like you said, something different. Back in 2008, if anyone was in trucking, we were struggling in trucking. The whole economy was really, really bad. Justin would have been just about getting ready to be graduated or something about then. But
I was working at Performance Food Groups driving. I did 1 year there, and I went from a very healthy weekly wage home 4 days of the week. Now for 4 hours, it's not really
Right.
home, but yeah, it went to, you were staying overnights in hotels and you went down to the minimum pay. That was a big hit to trucking.
It was huge.
Yep.
And we had one of our best years ever.
Well, sure, your repossession.
People can't pay for food. They can't pay for their motorcycles. I'm sure there was discussions on, do you eat or do you have your motorcycle? But anyhow,
And depending on who in the house you asked, which bill was going to get paid.
Exactly. So we had a huge year, but a lot of my flatbed guys had to kind of switch over to this.
Okay.
Because there was just no flatbed. I mean, there was no freight, people. I mean, just none. And, at that time I had, I think, 3 dispatchers working for me, and a billing girl, whatnot, and a person in my shop. And I was just kind of doing everything there, whatnot. But we had a satellite office out in Bend, Oregon. I would fly out to Bend, Oregon about once a month. I'd fly out there on a Thursday and be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, catch the red eye to get back, and can make it back for church on Sunday morning, and did that almost every month for probably a year and a half. But we had guys stationed out there, other owner operators running up and down the West Coast. We were taking care of Idaho and Wyoming and all those places.
So you guys had a wide path you had to take care of.
We did.
Wow.
We did. We were running all over the place.
See, I had no idea you were that big. I mean, like I said, I've heard the stories, but in no way, shape, or form did I know that you were taking care of that much of it.
And actually, Kurt wrote a lot of the software that would help us do it. He was actually in the dispatch at that time. By then, he had came to work for me, and I mean, they would have. A guy would leave here with a load of motorcycles sometimes, and it would be, maybe he'd have on 70 motorcycles and he'd drop 20 of them off here, but he'd go load another 15 here. And so you would do that all the way around till you got back here. And so, the billing was a nightmare, and you had to know where to put them in the trailer. It's like, all right, driver, listen to me, put this in the front at the bottom, and you're going to put these up on top because you're going to have to get these later and such like that. Then when they get in here on the weekends, there was a lot of times we would unload and reload 200 or 300 motorcycles
just to get them moved around to make the next stops.
Yes, yeah. And so it was a whole new concept. Now, if you see out there, there's a company called Daily Direct. They haul a lot of motorcycles, and there's other ones that do that as well. But it was something different at the time. So 2008, we came through very, very well, and we were pretty happy about that and such. But then in you got to remember, Custom Assembly was part owner of this too, and they were doing new motorcycles. Well, new motorcycles, nobody was buying them, so they wanted to start hauling some of my repos.
Yep.
And we kind of got into like, wait a second, you stay in your court, I'll stay in mine. You know what I mean?
Everybody should know their lane by now.
You guys didn't want to do any of this stuff. And so anyhow, we came up to a big agreement of a disagreement. And that's when moved into and started Logisticize basically overnight.
Oh,
if you want to say
that quick.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Now, I had Logisticize sitting as a company out there idling for years. So I think Logisticize has been in probably 25 years I've had that or something like that now.
So how did you get, I'm just curious how you came up with the name. Obviously a play on words, but I mean, is there a good story behind it?
Don't let this get out into the general public.
We won't. We'll keep this very quiet.
Yeah, but it was, it was one night, me and a buddy of mine was just sitting around drinking some beer or whatnot, and we're talking, and it was like, a good name for a company would be this. I'm like, no, it's a logistics. It's the art of moving something. It's like, you gotta, logisticize it. It's like, oh, that's a pretty good name.
Turn it into
it's a terrible name. It's why it's a
nobody
terrible
can
name?
spell it. Nobody can say it.
Yeah. And you tell people your email address. How many times, guys, you have to go over it again? You know what I mean?
I mean, I still have to look at my business card to make sure I'm spelling it right.
Well,
or something
I-
like that when I get a
It made sense to me when I seen the name at first, but you get brokers now, the ones that even speak English very well will call back Logisticais, or there's just, I don't know how you can't look at that and make it out, but people do have a very difficult time with
There's
it.
another one out in California.
Oh, same name.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mine's LTD.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's, I don't know what it is or whatnot. But so at the time we ended up breaking away from them on, was it 12/31 of 2000 something. 10?
So 10.
You started January 1st of 11.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. See, Justin knows better than I do. So
That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So, we went, as a matter of fact, we just kind of had an anniversary here, whatever, for 15 years.
Yeah.
And such. So I was looking back over some of the things. I kept a kind of a diary back then. I'm not a diary guy, but I kind of kept a diary, and it's like, 12/1. Need to start a new company. Okay? And
12/31 done. Did it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good window.
Well, I had to get my authority. I had to get insurance. I had to get a lot of things moved around for that. And then, we had all these guys that were flatbed guys. We want to work for you, Rick. Where are you going? Okay, well, over here. And I'm thinking, if I move just a few guys over, a couple, I had some trucks of my own, I'll be all right. Well, day one, we're like at 20 trucks.
Oh, wow.
And, we're out there switching signs. We're out there getting things going. The first couple of months was pretty crazy. We, Jolene, somewhere in that whole thing, it came to work for me over at Custom Contacts, and then she moved to here, and Terry Nepper and Kurt and everybody ended up coming to work for me here and such like that. So it was a real mess there for a while. Jolene will tell you about days when she had a cardboard box and that was her desk. Okay.
So we had a dinner. Was it last month? Or was it a couple months ago?
2 months ago.
It was a couple months ago. And it was to honor the guys that have been with you from the beginning, including Kurt. I mean,
Right.
Kurt was a part of that. And it's kind of what prompted the idea to have you in here to do these. We've made it from the very beginning in the first episode up to where you're going to start Plummer Trucking. Obviously that got big, up to 100 trucks. Ended up, we're here about an hour later, about the time we like to run, and Logisticais is getting ready to start. Right. So I think we're going to wrap it up right there. I do appreciate you coming in. I know a lot of the guys have been pretty hungry to hear the last part of this story, and we're going to save it. We're going to have a couple driver interviews coming out in the next couple of weeks. Josh Shoop's out there, Randy Eaton, they're going to sit down here, and Josh and I already did it last week. Had a great time. I think it's a 2-hour podcast, which is pretty long, but Josh really enjoyed it. He's already got new ideas for a couple of the new ones, and Randy's going to be in here, I think, in about an hour. So, Rick, I really appreciate you coming in. I know that you really weren't looking forward to it earlier. You were trying to get guys from the shop, but the guys really do enjoy hearing where it all came from. And it's a good story to know what it takes to build a business. And from an entrepreneurial mind, obviously, since you started several of them, it gives guys ideas out there, and it gives them kind of a hope that you can do something.
That's one thing that I always want to put out there is, listen, okay, there's regulations out there to make it tougher than it used to be, but you can make whatever happen if you put your heart to it, but you really have got to work at it and such. And one thing is, remember where your roots came from as well and such. And we are we're at a very interesting time in trucking. Doug, I was privileged. I got to take a load down to Georgia this week and bring a truck back. Had to use my record. Well,
it's not going through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Sorry.
So anyhow, I just want to say to the guys and to you, Doug, and you, Justin, here, I get out there on the road and still drive and see, it's a tough job. It's a tougher job than it used to be. I think with some of the impatiency of some of the drivers and such like that. But I found myself driving this last trip there and back that, boy, I just tuck in behind somebody that's doing 68 mile an hour. And even though it's 70 mile an hour out there, so you could run 75 if you wanted to or whatnot, it was just easier sitting behind the guy.
Well, I could tell you from this side, I was getting safety events out of the truck you were towing. And it was quite alarming when I pulled it up and I had a following too close, and I pulled the video up and it's pointed right at a car that's about 5 feet off the front bumper. And it took me a few seconds to realize that you're towing a truck back from Georgia.
Right.
Which you still do not all the way to Georgia essentially, but you still get out there and get that done.
I still like getting out. And you know, one of the things that I always feel for everyone is there's always a pitfall somewhere in every job. And, you know, here, you know, still getting off, finding a place to eat it seems like to be the problem and such. You know, there was parking, there was things, you know, it was what I really enjoyed the most, and yes, I'm going to put a plug in here that man, if you don't have to pull in and fuel, hallelujah.
Yeah, stay out of there.
You don't have to go, you know, we got the fueling down there and then the fueling up here. How great that is that you don't have to go in and mess with the fuel islands and all that stuff. I still think it's good, but the trucks are really good. I just appreciate everything you guys are doing out there for doing that. The best part of my trip was when I turned on a show that was just people talking and kind of made like this, and I really enjoyed that. One of the things is, though, and I'm sure you guys maybe have already got it across Samsara, we do have the fuel working back here at the office now. No, we haven't fixed the bridge down the road. I think they ended up pushing it out
June 21st right now is where it sits for an end date. Yeah.
So anyhow, we do have fuel. It's back open 24 hours. You know, come in, get the truck washed, get it taken care of, either here or down in Georgia. We try to keep snacks out there for guys and such like that. You know, and we're coming into Memorial Day weekend here. I'm hoping a lot of the guys are going to be off the road here soon, because other people get off work and they're going to
be on the road.
They got to get on the road so they can get their camper that they pull once a year somewhere. So it's going to be dangerous.
Well, they predicted this morning when I was watching the news, even with fuel prices, this is going to be the heaviest traffic day of the year, or the weekend so far this year. Yeah. They say that a lot of people are planning on taking off, that school's out.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I just wanted to say that. So yeah, appreciate what you guys are doing here too.
Well, hey, thank you very much, Rick. We appreciate you coming in here. Like I said, sitting down. Guys, we have 8 days left till they pull the CSA for the month. We are sitting on an entirely clean month, except for one tire violation. We are getting so close to getting out of alert status. I know it's a long haul. Thank you very much for everything you guys do out there. Have a great holiday weekend. Look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Down at the new Millennium Gates, where the heavy iron weights, the dawn breaks cold against the diesel grates. You're cinching down the chains on a scale to the steel, feeling every pound through the steering wheel. Copper cords going like a copperhead snake, tied to the fabric with no room for a mistake. It's a wide, low gamble on a narrow strip road, carrying the weight of a monumental load. This is for the kings of the outside lane, the ones who conquer the mountain and the rain. The Logistics Eyes 104 is calling out your name, for the grit in your teeth and the pride in the frame. Moving the bones of the cities yet to rise, with the highway burning in your steady eye. Oh, it ain't just cargo bolted to a trailer floor. Oh, it's a pulse of the country knocking in at the door. Oh, They see an oversized sign and they pull to the side, but they don't know the mastery deep in the ride. From the trust to the corner to the long haul climb, you're punching the clock against the hammer of time. The asphalt's a teacher and the lessons are hard, measuring the inches in the gravel strewn yard. You navigate the turns where the weak carts fail, leaving a silver streak on the lonesome trail. The millennials pass with their hands on the gear, filtering the static till the mission is clear. No room for the timid when the tonnage gets high, just the roar of the engine under a wide open sky. This is for the kings of the outside lane, the ones who conquer the mountain and the rain. The Logistics 104 is calling out your name, for the grit in your teeth and the pride in the frame. Moving the bones of the city's yoke to rise, with the highway burning in your steady eyes.